there. So what we're going to do today is introduce Redux to the app. Redux is the most popular state management tool, but there's a few out there such as Context API and a few others, MobX, Recoil. Recoil is actually really nice, and I would have liked to introduce Recoil, but it's still in beta. But Redux remains the most popular, and what it does, it allows you to scale your app quite well. It's got good architecture so that you can build a bit larger apps if you need to. So I introduce it to most of my projects, even though you don't really need it to for smaller projects because you can just pop drill and it's fine. But yeah, so the reason it's better for a larger project is imagine that here. So I'm just going to explain this, the problem that it solves. So imagine that you've got a component down here, let's say 4 levels deep, and it needs a prop from the root component or like the header or wherever it is in the app. So you might have to go and drill it through a couple of components to get it to that app and like pass it down. But so obviously this might get complicated the more kind of levels you have in your component tree. So instead of doing that, what you can do, you can push it out to a store like a Redux or a Context API store where you can just go and fetch it from there, pass it to there. So these arrows should go 2 ways really. They should go back and forth because obviously you're going to pass data there and get it back. So anyway, that's basically the problem that it solves. In terms of Redux, so Redux, the way that Redux works, so imagine that you've got a component here, you're passing an action. So an action is something like logging in, so you might get a user back, and then that user you then pass to a reducer. So the reducer has the state at the moment, and what you're saying is that the action combined with the state at the moment gives you a new state, and that new state you can put in the store, and then the component can go and fetch that from the store. So these arrows, some of them should go 2 ways really, because actually you know, you're going to get something from the store as well. That's the basic kind of context, the basic use case for Redux. There's this Redux toolkit which is now out, which uses less boilerplate, but essentially it's the same concept, but we're not going to use the Redux toolkit. I mean, Redux can seem confusing because of the lot of boilerplate that's in it, but actually, if you get away from just the boilerplate and just think of it as you're setting off an action and you're updating this reducer, which then passes to the store, then it's actually quite simple to use. If you can get that in your head and kind of realize how the data, I keep on calling it state, it is state, but then state is basically data that is continuously being updated. So you can think of it as just data, like a user object, what we're going to be doing today, that's being constantly updated. So logged in state, log out state, and things like that, and other kind of properties of it being updated. So that's basically the essential of the essence of Redux. Sorry. What we're going to do now is start wrapping the app with Redux, and what we need to do is create a folder that's called Redux, and then once we've wrapped the app in Redux, then we're going to obviously start using state in the app. So what you need to do is create the Redux folder like this, and then create a store folder. Now this is all going to be boilerplate here, where we're setting up the store and things like that and wrapping the app, and it's not really anything that you need to worry about, because after we've done this, I then don't really use it. I don't really go in here again. Redux, I think it's Redux store. I think it's our store. Yeah, that's it. So Redux store. So if you're using my boilerplate, this is what it kind of looks like. And so what we're going to do is, I'm just going to quickly explain this, but after I've really set this up, I don't ever go back in here or do anything with it, because it's always the same really. So I'm going to explain this. So we're going to get the store from Redux. So npm install Redux. So we're going to need Redux. Then we're going to need this thing called Redux wrapper. And then we're going to need this thing called Redux thunk, and then we're going to need this thing called Redux DevTools extension. We don't actually need this DevTools extension, but I think most people that use Redux use the DevTools extension, and what it is, that's just a Chrome extension that makes it easier to see what's in your store, and it makes really using Redux very useful. So what we're going to do is we're saying that here we're importing them, and then here what we're doing is saying that if we're in production, then we're going to use this DevTools extension. If not, we're just going to apply the middleware normally, and we're going to return that middleware. And then this hydrate thing is just basically because we're using it with Next.js. So if you set this up with React normally, then you wouldn't need this hydrate thing, but it's just basically making sure, because obviously with Next, then the kind of the server continuously updates, and so because of that you need to use this hydrate thing. I don't really understand how it works, but you don't really need to, so you can find that out yourself if you want to. And then what we're doing here is we're initializing the store, and then we're going to wrap each component with that store, basically. So let's first of all install all this stuff, and then we go to the app, and then component, and then which is the root component, and then wrap everything with the Redux store. So we need to import the, what is it called again? It's called with Redux, import with Redux. From the store that we just set up. I think we've gone a bit too far out. Redux, where's Redux? There. And then we want the store. And then I think really that's it. But we also need to create the root reducer. So reducer.js. So this root reducer will then take all of the reducers and then combine them. So let's call this reducers, actually, because it's more than one reducer. And then what we want to do, we want to do import combine reducers, combine, yep, there it is, from Redux. Okay, and that's done. And then what we're going to do now is create an action. So let's create a user folder, I think. Now for the moment, let's just create the actions, and then we can pass these into an action folder if we want to extend the app in the future, because then it will keep each action object separate. So let's call it user action, actually. User action.js. And then we've got user reducer. And then we've got user types. Now this user types, you don't have to have it. It's just a way of kind of, what's it called? Typing your Redux store, so that type checking basically your Redux store is sometimes called a constants folder as well. So you're just basically having, so when we go through it, you'll see, but it's basically a way of ensuring that you're using the same types across your components. So the user action and the user reducer, it's the same thing that you're updating basically. It's just a way of type checking your what you're doing, because there is a lot of boilerplate to Redux, and that's the reason basically. Yeah, hopefully that made sense. But when we're doing it, you'll see that basically that's what we're doing. One of the things that we haven't installed is React Redux, so we need to install that as well. npm install React Redux. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to create the user types. So we're going to use it to load the database user basically. So we've got these local things that we're getting, these local user objects in the header component. So these are coming from the local state, so the local cookies basically. And what we want to do, we want to send a request to the backend so we can get the user from the database, because the user database in the database might have extra properties such as, I think, hold on, let's quickly go in, let's just run this and then console log the session, because I think the way that it's set up now in Next-Auth, it doesn't have the user ID, so that's quite an important thing. The Mongoose, the MongoDB ID basically doesn't have that, so we need to actually have that. So because we can use the email actually, but I think in most projects you would use the user object that's got the ID. Let's have a look at what we get back. So yeah, it doesn't have the ID, so the one in the database will have the ID, so that's one of the things we need. But then also it might have other properties in there, such as you know, a sale, for example, different orders that the user's made. So that's basically the purpose of getting the user from the database. So what we're going to do, we're going to set it up so that if there is a user from the database around, then we're going to basically put that into the state. And if there isn't, then we're just going to display the local user basically, and that would stop you having to kind of wait for the database, because the database can take time to give back the user that you're requesting. So you know, if that's the case, then there is the local user which can be displayed. Let's have a look at this one, if it's got the ID. I think this one does have the ID. Yeah, we have set the ID for this one. But yeah, I mean, I guess we can still send that back anyway, because it might have other properties in there as well. So yeah, so let's do that. So in order to do that, let's go load user. So this is, we're setting up basically constants or types. So I'll show you why the purpose of this is. Load user request. Yep, equals, and then we just want to copy this and then put that in brackets, in quotes, sorry, and then that in quotes, and then load user success. And then it's load user fail. So if you hold on the Alt button, you can select both of them at the same time. Okay, so that's that, and then let's go in here, and then we can do action creator. So this action creator object you should be able to get from my boilerplate, and then in here we're going to call it load user. If I can spell. I don't think we need any objects, so this is going to be load user. So this is the constant that we already produced, so we need to bring that in now. Load user request, so if you press on the control and space button, then you get some suggestions sometimes, but this doesn't seem to be working. save all. So we can take that and then paste it here, and then that could become success. Yep, and then that one can become fail. So this is just boilerplate that I always use to set up my object, my action, sorry. And then, right, so save that, move it down a little bit so it's got some space. Right, and then what we need to do is, right, so if you type in C data, then you'll get that boilerplate, and then snippet, and then we want to get, and then API profile. So from this we're going to send back their profile from the database, basically. Profile. Yeah, and that's it. That's all we want to do here, really. So that's it. We can go into the API and set up a profile. I think in the future what we're going to do, we're going to set up a user object in the API folder, just so that we can extend the app. We can keep the different files separate, but for now that's fine. And then we now need to do the reducer. So user reducer. So if you just type in reducer, then you'll get a reducer object. Reducer. And in here we need to go load reducer, I think. A profile reducer, should we call it? Let's call it profile reducer. You don't want to call it the same name as what's in the action, because otherwise when you're retrieving the objects, there can be a clash. So just try and do a slightly different name. User equals null. Oops, Control Z. Okay. I was trying to tab it to here because it does tab to there, but anyway. So here we need to do load user request, and then here is load user success, and then here we want load user user fail, and then here we want the user object. So let's call it DB user. So we know that that's the database user rather than the normal user. Okay, and this should be DB user as well, actually. DB user. Oops, don't know what's happened to the rest of it. Yeah, so you should say DB user here, DB user. Okay, right, now we need to bring that reducer into here, into combine reducers. And then what we can do, we can show that in the Redux DevTools. So let's have a look. Import that reducer. So I'll show you the Redux DevTools. Import. Control Z. We're going to do more than one import, so let's have it like this. Import. What is it called? Profile reducer. From user reducers, from user, oops, it's that one, isn't it? It's that one. Yeah, user reducer. And then it's const, I've got to spell const reducer equals combine reducers, and then in combine reducers we want to add the profile reducer or profile, and then here we're going to bring in the profile reducer. So this is the object that we're going to basically see in Redux DevTools. Hopefully, export default reducers. Okay, right. Hopefully that's worked. Just make sure that that's in the store. Just need to check something. Oh, it's called reducer. Let's change it. The word. Oh, it is called reducers actually. Okay. And then let's have a look at the Redux DevTools. Okay, I don't have it installed for some reason. Which is okay. So what you want to do is install this. Am I in the right folder? Yeah. Okay, so hopefully that's installed, and then we can have a look at the right Redux DevTools action state. It doesn't have anything in the state yet. Thought we might have this object, because normally when you put a reducer in this combined reducers, it normally shows up. Let's just have a look. Okay, let's try setting off the action and see if that helps. So what we want to do, we want to go to the login screen, wherever it is. Is it there? No, that's in the API. Let's close that. It's in this SRC folder. So in here we want to basically load the user. No, we want to do it in the use effect. So if there isn't a session, basically we want to load the user. Actually, we want to load the user in every case, I think, anyway, even if there is a session. So let's bring in that load user object. Hopefully it might do an import. Yeah. And then do that. And we need to wrap this in a dispatch thing, so it gets it. So if we do dispatch, and that is from basically Redux, it's a dispatch object. So let's try and import that. Dispatch, use dispatch here. This is what we need to import. Wonder if it's imported it. Can't see it anywhere. Don't know if it's imported it, but let's carry on. I think use dispatch. Use dispatch. Yeah, that's it. So where are we? Oh, it's not imported it with what we've done. Right, let's Control Z that and that. Right, let's do this again. Right, so use dispatch. And we need to, oh, that's it. That's the imported it now. And then we can do that as well. Okay, right, so we've got it imported, we've now dispatched it, and we can now load the user if it exists. There is no profile yet, so it probably won't actually import anything anyway. Just finding it hard to see that it's got nothing in the state, because we do have actually a reducer in the state. Let's have a look at this. Since they've updated this DevTools, it doesn't seem to register every state, which is a bit annoying. I'm just going to do a bit of testing just to see why we're not getting any objects in this Redux DevTools. I feel like once they've changed it, it doesn't behave like it used to. But anyway, so we're getting this dispatch user. Let's see if we can actually, if that's working. So what we can do, we can go into this action and then just console log and then see what's going on. Let's call it action. Then let's see load user. Yeah, let's just leave it like that for now. Let's see if that works. So if we log out and log in, that might use dispatch. So something Redux context value. Please ensure the component is. Oh, okay. So we didn't actually do something. That is. Okay, so I figured out what the issue is, and it's this basically. We haven't wrapped. We brought in this with Redux component, but we've not actually wrapped the app in it. So if we do this, it will wrap the app basically. My app, and then we need to wrap this with the with Redux wrapper. So it's wrapper dot with Redux, and then if we do that, and then delete that, and then end, and then that. Oops, that didn't work. And then that should work. Right. Error, could not find Redux. Okay, we've got that. I think now. Let's hopefully that should work. Wrapper is not defined. That's fine. We can import the wrapper. Okay. So I don't think we need that. I think it's fine with just that. Oops. Right, now hopefully this should work. Oops. Right. Don't like that extra component. Right. Load user request is not defined. Okay, so remember I said to define these, but we didn't. So let's go into here. So import. So what this type checking does, so you might spell this wrong because it's quite a long string. So by importing it, etc., we're making sure that we're importing the right thing and we're using the right string. And that's the whole purpose of it, it's just type checking really. And this should be a destructured import. And then we can import the rest. I think this is in the reducer. Okay, so let's do the same thing in the reducer. And then hopefully we'll complain about the next one. I think we're getting somewhere now. Okay, it's not complaining about the next one, but let's control and space it. Okay, it still doesn't use it, but what we can do, we can just copy and paste it into here. Okay, that should work, and then this one as well, copy and paste. Okay, that should work as well. Okay, it's not complaining about these ones. You should really complain, but anyway, I'm not complaining. So I'm just going to copy and paste into here. So, for example, if we spelt one of these wrong, then it will just basically complain. So that's just the basic type checking that it does. Let's have a look. If we refresh this, what happens? Okay, have you misspelt a constant? Yeah, so this is it really. So I think here in the user action, we don't have that correctly. User action, load user fail, and what is it in the user type? Load user fail. Okay, doesn't look like we have. What I realise is we didn't actually export these, so we need to export these. Export const. Right, now let's have a look. Okay, so any errors we had should disappear. Okay, so we've got an action. Let's have a look in the state. Where is it? Here. Axios is not defined yet, that's perfect. We've got a profile. Axios is not defined, so it's giving the error. Axios is not defined. and we've got someone in the state basically, a profile in the state. We don't have anything yet because we haven't made the request, the API in the back end yet. We soon to do that, but for now we've got something at least, and we obviously here we need to just import Axios from Axios. Import Axios from Axios. Axios, if I can spell it. Yep, there it is, and then that error should disappear. Let's have a look. That, it's still going to give a request error because we don't have anything in the back end yet. So let's start setting that up, that profile thing. So API profile. Let's have a look what we have here. So I think we can copy this. Register. Let's copy this one. Let's copy all of it. So what we need to do is we need to go and fetch the user basically by the email. So don't need any of that. In the load user object, I think we need to pass in an email and get the email, and then if the user exists we just need to return the user. So I think this should work. Turn user. Okay, and then do we need this bit here? Okay, he's complaining about something, I don't know what. Let's put another one of these, see if that works. Nope, that didn't work. What is it up complaining about? I think it's the try catch bit. Okay, yeah. So if it's catch error, then console log the error. Right, how is this set up in the other one? We're missing something here, is it? I think we might be missing something here. Right, that's it, perfect. Okay, what we want to do here is if you type in res, we get a res, and then status 200, and then we want to send. Let's not do this JSON, let's do send instead, and then we're going to send the user, and that's the database user basically, but it's this user here basically. Action to a post request, because we need to send something, a few things, the email basically. We need to send the email. Then, yeah, we need to send the email object. Email should be fine. And we need to bring in that email here. Then we need to pass the config. Then if you do CC, you should get some boilerplate of config. And then just get rid of this token thing because we don't need that. Right, I think that should work. So in the header, we want to get the user and send it to the backend to load the user. Now I did this in the login component originally, so make sure you're in the right component. So what you want to do is you want to say if there is a user, we want to go, load user, dispatch load user, dispatch. So we want this use dispatch, but not here. Let's get this outside of here. Let's put it up here with the rest of these, and then we need to import this use dispatch from Redux. Yep. Right, so that's done, and then we want to dispatch it here. Dispatch, and then dispatch. We want to dispatch load user. Load user, and then in the load user we want to put in the user.email. So we're retrieving the user from the backend using the email, and the reason we're doing this is because the backend, the database user, will have extra properties such as the user ID, because it's not in the session, and at the moment, yeah, this session here, okay, load user is not defined, so we can bring that in. So we put that in. So in this user object, there's a user. This is the local cookies one. There isn't an ID, but then there's other properties as well. So you might have like orders or something attached to the user. So yeah, this is why we're doing this basically. Let's see if we've actually got a user. Action, state, profile, DB user none. Nope. So let's close some of this stuff. Got a lot of stuff here. Let's go into the. Where should we go? Post. Okay, so let's go in here and just check whether it's actually coming. We're getting a request in the profile. So we've got this console log. So hopefully, if we do a refresh, we might get something in there. No, it's getting undefined. Let's go back in the header and see if there is an issue here. Where is the header? Where is the header? It's here. Right, let's do console log the user, see if we're getting that user first. Let's just type in header user, I think, so we know that this is the one. There's a few other. Let's have a look. Is there anything with header? Header here. So we are getting that user. We're getting that user email, and it's going into the action bit, but it's getting undefined on page number 20. So let's go into that bit and check why we're getting an undefined. Oh, it's coming into the back end, so because we're getting that post. So that's perfect. So it's going through here, we're getting that. I think here number 20 is given undefined, so the data will be undefined here, so that's perfect. But we need to see at number 22 if it's defined. Number 22, it is defined, so it should now be the state actually. DB user, yes, we've got it back, perfect. So that's it. We've now managed to retrieve the user from the back end. So what we want to do now is say if there is a user from the back end, the DB user, then we will display that user. If not, then we can display the normal user. So we can update the state basically in the header, I think, in this header component. I don't know whether to put this set state into the Redux as well. But anyway, I think if we have a set state user, then I think it's good to put that into the maybe this. I mean, session dot user. Yeah, we'll think of a way to do this now. What I'm going to do now is pull the DB user from the state using use selector. So if you use my boilerplate, then you'll get this nice bit of code that you can just refactor a little bit. So DB user, and then DB user, and then we want to console log the DB user so that we can check header, what it looks like. DB user, right, let's have a look at that. Okay, something is not right. Duplicate binding. I've got duplicate binding. Oh, this shouldn't be DB user, that's why it should be profile. My bad. Because we called it profile as a reducer. So it's the profile reducer that we are retrieving. Use selector is not defined. Yep, it's not. So let's do this, and then it is defined. Okay, and then we have user here, console logged in the header, and let's just check the Redux DevTools. So this is why we use the Redux Redux Dev Tools release just to do this. What we want to do here is, if there's a DB user, then we want to display the DB user. So if we write DB user and then question mark and then DB user else, we want to do what we was doing before, and that should work. And then next, to show this basically, next we want to, what I realized is we're not actually sending the name back, because we did update the component to do that. So name, then name. So another thing is that if you've got a user in the database without a name, make sure you take that out, otherwise this is going to throw error. So I mean, which is fine, you can fix it, but by deleting that user. But yeah, that's, and then let's just delete this as well, because we don't need that anymore. And then what we're going to do next is put the user name in the background. We can change this email to name. So let's see if that works. Yeah, so now we've got a name here. Before it said Sebat Camel. I'm just going to put it back at the email address. You can see. Yeah, so now we're getting back that user from the database. Perfect. Do password reset. We can refactor this code to take out things like in the login component, and I have done this previously, and there is a good reason to do it, putting it into the Redux state. But as we're kind of use cookies and cookies to retrieve these users once they're logged in, I feel like it's a bit pointless doing it, and I think it's a lot of work. And actually, there is a reason to do it. Like I said, it just makes your components a bit lighter, and then it moves that logic into the reducers logic. But yeah, I don't really see any reason to do it at this point. If this component became very unwieldy and large, then I would probably do that. But at the moment, I'm quite happy with this. There's nothing here that is unwieldy and large, basically. So what we're going to do now is just quickly refactor some of the code so that when we make a larger application, we've got like routes that are kind of easier to manage. So we're not going to really do a lot. We're just going to move everything into user routes, which will require some changing of little bits of code here and there. So like here, we're going to have to put user login. We're going to have to do the same thing for the register. And probably it's going to make our code fail sometimes when we are testing this later on, because I might not catch everything that we kind of did. Well, that's fine. I mean, we can just deal with it when we get to it, I think. Yeah, API register user. But then this will make it kind of like easier to follow along what we're doing. Go to user actions and then put a user here as well in the long term, because if we didn't have other pages, like not user pages, then like order pages or something, for example, then it would just become easier to kind of structure our content, I think. So in this user folder, we're going to put forget password. So I think forget will just be fine. Forget JS. And then for this, we're going to create a component. So NAFCE. Oops. So not NAFCE. If we use Material UI login. So this has got a lot of code already in it. We can just get rid of this. I might just get rid of this from the JavaScript file. And also you need to get rid of this as well, because that's the same. Oops, what happened there? Controls. That should work. And then what else do we need to get rid of? Console log, email, password. Okay, so this already has actually some boilerplate in here that I never realized that was there. But I think, let me just check this actually. I think this component has changed since I first used it. So src/user/forget. I mean, we could just use the code as it is if it works. Might not be any point of refactoring it and stuff. I mean, yeah, putting it in. Let's just see. Yeah, it comes out like this. So we just need to send the email to the back. So let's refactor this code. I mean, I don't think it's necessary really to just need the email. Get rid of this one as well, this password field. Get rid of the, I don't know if we need that remember me thing. Nope, we don't need that. And then get rid of that. I think we can get rid of these two. And then we just need to send this to the back end. Right, what should we do next? Sorry. Oh, let's change the name of this component to forget password. Forgot password. A password reset maybe. Yeah, password reset. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, looks fine, I think. Something's happened to this. It's all bunched up for some reason. Where's that? What's happened there? Right, let's go Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Just check why that has happened. Yeah, that's better. So I think it's maybe because I got rid of the grid. Yeah, let's get rid of this first. Maybe the box. I think it's the box. No, it is that. Controls. Let's try this MD then. It's going to this component here. Maybe see what this one says. I think maybe this grid container might work. Let's try that. Let's try the grid container. Close the grid. See what happens if I do that. Looks a little bit better, I think. Yep. So I think the button needs to go up there as well. Let's put the button up there. Maybe that might help. Let's see. Looks a little bit better. Oh, I think this writing needs to go up as well. Hold on. I think all of this writing. So maybe this whole grid container needs to go up. Right, that looks far better. And I think this needs to go back to XS maybe. Yep, that looks far better now. All this writing was bunched up, so yeah, I think that's far better. Okay, we've done all that, and then let's now send this to the forget password user. So in here we want forget .js, if I can spell it. Forget.js. Then let's copy this. Oh, this is going to change now. I think all of these need to change. Let's do this one first, and then we change all of them, because this is going to have to come out one more, I think. Each of these. Okay, and then in the model we want to change this model to have a little token, maybe reset token, and the rest of it is going to be just like this. I don't think we need the required bit, just type string, it's fine. And then we need to go in this. Right, let's get rid of some of these things that are open because they're just using up space. Yeah, that's good. And then in here we need to get the email and then console log the email. Let's put that up there. Let's console log that to make sure we're getting it. And then let's delete all this. Let's just delete all of it. I think for now we can put in another try catch block in a minute. Right, hopefully this should work. Front end, let's go into login. Let's just copy this and then just change it. I think let's copy the whole thing, that as well. Go to forget. So in here, I didn't actually know that this does this. Control Z. That, yeah, a lot of this is it already kind of gets this material UI already has this component already fit here, so it's actually cut down some of the coding. Right, okay, we just need to send the email. We don't need anything else. I think that might work. If it don't work, we'll have to think again. I think this might be data.email maybe. Let's just see if this works. It might work because I think it's already set the email here. But then because it's in this console log bit, it might not work. Let's just try it anyway. Okay, so it's saying that it needs async here somewhere. Async. Let's see where this async should be. No, it should be on the other ones. It should be async here. That should now work, I think. Oh, I need to delete it from here. That should work, I think. Data, duplicate binding. Oh, it's already got something called data. Let's call this something else then. Result. Let's call this result. Then call this result. Right, it should be fine. Right, let's just check that this works. This shouldn't be logging, it should be forget. And then let's see log the data, I think. Alright, let's see. I don't think it's going to work, but let's try it. Okay, Axios is not defined, that's fine. Pull Axios for Axios, if I can spell Axios. Yep, that's it. Let's try a few things here. Const. I think it should be equals, is it? Yeah, for some reason. Maybe it's this. Yeah, that's it, I think. Right. Okay, it has gone into the back now, but can't find the connect DB. I think that's good. Okay, maybe I need to do that then, and then do that. Maybe I didn't need to extend these. Maybe it automatically happened. Right, let's try it now. So yes, it's gone into the back. That's good. Okay, so now if we do try catch block, then let's put this email in here. Then do we need next? We need to check the if the user is in the database. So if that happens, we need to go const user equals 08 user dot find one. We need to find by the email. So that's done. And then if we get it, if we don't get it, then we can send an error. If not user, if not user, then we want res.status. We can use this status sync 404, and then the message is email does not exist, or user doesn't exist. Let's just put email doesn't not exist. Not found, that will do. And then something missing from this. Looks like it is. It's a bracket. And then it's const token is equal to jw2.sign, and then we can do that, and then it's id underscore id is equal to user.underscore id. Then on the outside of this we need process.env.secret, so it's process.env.secret, jwt secret actually, isn't it? Jwt secret. Then we need to do expires in, I'm just going to do 30 days, but you can do it shorter, you should do it shorter. For me, I just want it to work and just be able to test it. So, and then let's do user dot reset token. So it's that reset token that we set up in the user. And then equals token, and then await user dot save. Await user dot save. And then we need to use this absolute URL to get the origin. So we can do const. I think let me just check something. Absolute URL. So we've got this absolute URL here. We need to import this. Import absolute. So if you type in absolute URL, then I don't know if we actually installed this actually. Let's just check. I think we have absolute URL. No, it doesn't look like it. It's a good package though. It just tells you where you are. So ours would be localhost at the moment, but if we was on a, oops, it's not going to work. But if we was online, it would tell us the path of the site that we was on, basically. So with this, we can then create a link. Oh, what's happened there? Well, install. It's not in the npm registry. I think it's called next absolute URL. Let me just check. Yeah, I think it's called next absolute URL. Yeah. So we need to do npm install this. And then the import looks like this, not the one that we imported. Oh, I imported. Okay, so that's done. And then what we need to do is we need to create a message and a link. So the link we can do as const link is equal to, and we need these backtick things that which are in the top right hand left hand corner, sorry. just below the escape button. So that button there. Then we've got origin. Okay. And then origin / user. And then we called it. Oh, this is going to be then reset. And then token. Then token. Okay. Okay, right. And then what we need to do with that is we need to create a message. So it's going to be const message equals, and then we're going to have a backticks again, and in these backticks we're going to have div, and then in that div we're going to have click on the link below, click on link below to reset your password if the link is not working, then please paste into the browser. The reason that we've done this is because sometimes the browser or the email service provider blocks the token and the link and stuff, so because it thinks it's a malicious piece of code. So let's do link. Okay, so what we're going to do now is create this block to send a message. But before we do that, what we're going to do is going to do the res.send the result, basically the result, and it's going to be 200 if it gets there. And the message is going to be, we want backticks in here, and then it's going to be email. So this is a positive result, email sent to, and then user.email. Then please check your email. Right, okay, so that should be the message that we send. So now in here we're going to create the send email transporter. So we're going to create a folder called helpers, maybe. Yeah, let's call it helpers. And then in here we're going to create a helpers send mail. .js. In here we're going to do import transport from transport. Sorry, node mailer from node mailer. Import node mailer. If I can spell node mailer. From node mailer. So node mailer is native to this node, so we don't need to install it. So we need to create this function, export const, and then it's send mail, send email, and then equals options. Right, okay, and then it's going to be const transporter transport transporter equals new transporter equals node mailer dot transporter dot create transporter create transport, yeah, that's the one. And then to do options of service, and then that service is going to be process.env.email service, service. So we're going to use SendGroup to do this, but we need to create these environment variables in a minute. So auth is going to be that, then that, and then it's going to be user.process. User is going to be process.env.email user email username underscore username. Yeah, that's good. And then the pass is going to be process.env.email pass. Perfect. And then save. And then here we want to do const mail options. Mail options equals from is going to be process.email email from underscore from, then 2 it's going to be options.2, then subject is going to be options.subject, options.subject, and HTML going to be options.text. I can spell HTML. It's going to be options.text. Options.txt. Save. And then it's going to be transport dot send mail send mail transport.send mail transporter.send mail, and then that's going to be mail options, and then that's going to be function, and then it's going to be an error, and then info, and then if error, console log the error, else if I spell else, it's going to be console log info. Okay, so import send email see where it is. Help us send email. Okay, right. Save. Oops, what happened to that file? This thing is gone somewhere. No, it's not that one, it's that one, I think. Right, in here we need to now do await, then that's going to be send email, and then we need to send in some options. So 2 is going to be user.email, it's going to be user.email, subject, it's going to be message, no, subject is going to be password reset, and then text is going to be the message, right? So text is going to be message. Okay, right now, right, that didn't work because of that. Right, that should now be okay. And then we need to go back into the send mail and just put these in our, just basically click these in our environment variables, okay? So go in here, and then click these in our environment variables. Click these in our environment variables. That one. Then we can use this to go into SendGrid and get this information now. So we're going to do that next. So what we're going to do now is set up SendGrid and see if we can get the information we need basically from SendGrid. So let's sign in. So we need to create one, I think. Sign up now. Start for free. I mean, yeah, you'll need to send loads of emails to get anything, to get any kind of charge anyway. Then it's the password. You need to use a really long password. Okay, create account. First name. If I can spell. UK. I'm not going to put that in. I'll put that as my title. Let's put that. Company, how many employees? That many. Right. Hopefully this is going to work. Okay. Let's go in here. I think you need to send your first email. Go into here first. Send your. Right. I think it's going to be so. Let's do open. Let's do open. Then I think it's open free. Okay, hopefully that should work. Company address. I'm just going to put a random address. One that I know that exists. think we've got a state, yeah. United Kingdom. That'll do. Then it's right. Let's have a look at this. Hopefully this works. Close. I think we need to verify this email. See if we need to verify it. Yep. Okay. And then I think we need to go in here. Dynamic templates. Yeah, it's this one. Create key. My first API key name. Let's call it authenticate. Let's call it authenticate. Okay, create key. Okay, so this is the key that you need. This where it says password. So where it says password, you need to paste it in to password, email password, that one. And then where it says service, that's going to be SendGrid. I think it's this one, SMT, the first one where it says server. That one's that one. And then where it says username, that's going to be this API key one. And then from, it's just going to be the email that you set up from. That should be openfreeuni@gmail.com for me. Hopefully now this should work. Drag it into there. So it should be above this tag there, a bracket. Let's Control S that. Then in also I realized there was a mistake here, so just get rid of that. Okay, now this should actually work. I think that's all done. That's done. That's done. Right, let's try this now. Let's do clog error here as well. Just it shouldn't really give an error, but let's test it. So I've signed up this email address normally, and then it says the email is sent. So we've got that response. Let's have a look in here. So we've got an email, and this is the email. So set up the reset password page now. But before we do, just want to fix this up a little bit. Obviously, this is already forget password, so we don't need that. Don't have an account, sign up. We might need that, or maybe have an account login. Yeah, maybe we can just change that message to say have an account login. And then that could go to like user.login or something. User.login, I think it is. Yeah. src.user.login is user.login. I mean, we can fix these up later. I'm not that fussed about them, but it's better to do it now than otherwise we'd then that one would be register. I think same thing about register, because yeah, we might deploy it without remembering to do that. They're quite straightforward to set up though. Right, so that's done, and then we need to create a another folder in here, and then we're going to call this reset. Reset, and then in the reset one, we need to create a dynamic route, and it's and it will be like this: token.j. We need, so this square brackets means like a dynamic route. And then if we I think we need a MUI login component again, so this one, and then we can just use this. I think we can get rid of this. Okay, right. I think maybe because we need to restart this. I think we maybe need to restart VS Code, and then it will get rid of it. Like that, it should get rid of it anyway. Close that. That shouldn't be open. And then I think that's it. Didn't we reset this stuff? Oh no, this is This is the reset bit, isn't it? So this should say. What does this one say? This should say email reset password. Email reset link. It should say, I think. And this one should say, and then this shouldn't say. I think this one should say. I think it should say the same thing. Maybe submit. Maybe submit. Submit. Right, let's see what that looks like. Close some of these things because there's too many. User and forget. Okay, let's look at what that looks like. Okay, can't find that. Oh, I think there's SRC. That's why. Oh, another thing is we need to put an SRC in that backend route. Yeah, I think that looks fine. It looks a lot better than it was because this now looks like, and maybe this should be an email avatar. Let's go into material UI icons and then see if we can find an email icons, then email. Let's do a nicer email. Which one looks the best? I think probably this one. I might use maybe this one. I might need this one. Let's do this one. Right, copy that. Just to make it look a bit nicer. I mean, I don't spend a lot of time doing this normally. Well, I do actually once I've done all the behavior. But I think, yeah, it just, if it looks nicer, UI is important, but normally deal with it afterwards. Right, that looks a little bit better, I think. Email reset link, that icon looks a bit better. So this is now working, so I think next we need to do the reset page. So we need to change this SRC in the back actually, because my previous version didn't have that. So is it this one? No, it's this one. I think it should say src.user. Yeah. So just so it goes to the right place, and then in the where we've got that file, I think if we go in here and we just console log the result from now, where are we? I need to reset. It should be password and confirm password, I think. Just put that one above that one. And let's just change this to com password. Let's go in here and com. I hope it works. This, if not, then I'm gonna have to. It should say confirm password. And this should say confirm password. Okay. Okay, let's see if this works first. Should be SRC. Just put SRC here. Okay, he's found it now. Let's do console. Then let's just type in password and password for now. Okay, password and password. Email is null and password is password. Okay, this should be con password, I think. Con and then the console log should be, let me just console log this data and then see what's in there. Oh, it's got null. So how does it find this? Because this is I think it does it by the ID, does it? No, it doesn't do it by the ID. Type is password, label is password, name, I think it does it by the name. Let's try this. I think it does it by the name. Yeah, perfect. I think this is now working here. Okay. So it finds it by the name. I think we need to put type password so it gets rid of that as well. Because if we type in type password, I think it hides it. Let's just have a look. Yeah, that's better. Right, and then here we want to say this is reset password. Reset password. Let's do that. It looks a little bit nicer. Reset password. This should say submit, or maybe reset or anything, something like that. Let's just type reset actually. Reset, or maybe submit. Submit is fine, I think. I need to change this bottom bit as well, I think. Do we need them? I think we might be just good to take these out. Let's just KC it for now, and then just get rid of it. Where has it gone? So it's disappeared now. Let's get rid of this remember me, because we don't need that. Might take it out of the code as well, but let's for now just get rid of it here. I think it's gonna reduce the size of it. Is it? No, it's fine. Okay, so if we now set up a folder called reset, then in here we need to create a dynamic route that just says token. The dynamic route should have a square around it. Square bracket. So I think this is pretty much going to be very similar to this. So I think we'll copy this. Might give an error about how many levels we're in or not. I think it's another level, but I think for now we'll leave it like that. And then we need to go, for now just get rid of all this stuff and just do console log rec.body. That should be enough. And then let's go back into this token thing. Let's just close these. And then we need to go to the login, I think is the best one. It'll be very similar to this. Go here. Let's just go just below this, and then I'm going to change this to result because we've already got data. Because we've already got data just below this, I can't use the same thing twice. Result get, and actually I think we need to set these to variables, otherwise this is not going to work either. Const delete, then it should be equals. We need to get rid of this comma, or otherwise it's going to complain. And then do the same thing here. Const should be equals. Get rid of that thing at the end. It should now work. Okay, and then this should be put request, and then this should be API user slash reset slash token slash reset slash, then it's going to be token. So that token Okay, this token we're going to get, that should be async from our dynamic route. We need to retrieve that actually, so we'll do that next. This should be password and confirm password, so that one can be confirmed password. Okay, we need to get the router in first. See, so I think it's N router. Yep, and then it's C router. So if we put C router just below this, because we need it in there. So C router, and then we need to do router.query. So no, just I think if we do it here, so we need to destructure the token from the token equals router.query equals router.query. Okay, right, hopefully we should be getting this token now. We can see, look, the token. Right, let's see, hopefully that should all be working. This config, let's do cc, should give us a config. I think we can just get rid of this thing, we don't need that. Right, okay, then see. Okay, so we are getting the token back, that's good. We can send that token, and then we can retrieve that token in the back end, because look, we're getting it here. You can see we've got a nice new token there. And then we need that in the back end now. Let's see if we get anything in the back end, because it should be sending it now. And we should get a router.body, so let's try that. Let's make sure the passwords match, otherwise we're just going to get an error. Axios is not defined. Yep, that's very true. Axios is not defined. Oh. That should now work. Submit. Okay, some kind of code error. See. Okay, that's fine. I thought that might happen. It's because we're one more level deep. Do we need this? I don't think we do, so we can just get rid of that. Right, now let's do it again. Okay, we should now get the response. We've got the password and the, yeah, we've got the rep body. Now we need to just get the user, update the user, and all that junk. Okay, so const token equals rep.query. I think that's the one. Then clog token. Okay, that should be working. Let's have a look at that. It looks like we got the token, did we? Yep. Right, and then let's go if. I don't think we did this in the setting up the registration, but or the user. Yeah, not equals. I think we did it in the front end, but not in the back end. So let's just do it in the back end here anyway. Okay, we're just doing a. Validation check. Return res.status. Status is 400. Then .json. .json. And it's message password. Do new match. Message password. Do not match. Perfect. Right, and then let's do another validation check. Password dot length is less than, if I can spell length, is less than 6. Then return res dot status 400. Password needs to be at least 6 characters. And then if we get there past those validation checks, what we want to do is we want to check if there's a reset token. If token, and if there is a token, we want to decode that token. So we can go const decoded equals await JWT dot verify that one is token, and then that one is process dot env dot jw secret dot env dot jwt secret. Okay, I think that is working. Yep. Okay, and then rec dot user equals decoded. Right. Okay. Hopefully that worked, and then we need to then go in here, and then we're gonna put this into a try clutch block after, I think, but for now let's just do this. User equals await user find by ID. User find by ID. Then that should be rec dot underscore ID, rec dot user dot underscore ID. Right, okay, right, I think this for now console log the user. Okay, right, for now let's just do that. Let's have a look at that. Okay, something's gone wrong. Let's have a look what that is. Password is not defined. Okay, yep, it's not defined, is it? So that's a good I think query, from the rec body we want the password and the confirm password, so it's going to be the same as that, but it's going to be password and confirm password, and then that's going to be from the rec body, rec.body. Okay, right, that should now work. Okay, that looks like it did work. Did we get any user? Yep, looks like we got a user object, got a reset token, everything. Perfect. Okay, right, if we've got the user, that means let's get rid of this user now. So if there is a user, then what we want to do is we want to say const sort equals, so sort is like a decrypt, it's like an algorithm, basically something that's gonna scramble the password. Decrypt.gensort k10, and then what we can do with that sort is just going to say if password. I don't think we can get to here if we don't have a password, but anyway, let's just say if password. We want to say user.password is equal to await bcrypt.hash crypt.hash password and then the salt and then we want to set the reset password to be undefined. So it should be here, user dot reset token. We want to reset the reset token. Reset token equals undefined. So don't want it anymore in the back end. Then await user dot save. Yep, that's done. And then we want to say we want to give a return. Let's do it here. Return res.status 200. Then it's .json. Then is message equals success in updating user. Right, let's try this now. Okay, so this let's get rid of this. And then if we just change this to say 12, it should work. Then let's just change this to say yes, so we see what it looks like in the back end when we go into the database. Sorry, for now. And then let's just do it and see if it works. Okay, and then if we go in here, it should say yes at the bottom. Yeah, it does say yes. So that's worked. Did we get any kind of response? Don't know if we did get any response, but there is the object in here, which I think we did console log the user here. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Oops, Control Z. Control X, right. Oh, we didn't send back the user, that's why. It's probably we didn't. Let's do that. And then let's change this back to undefined. Right, okay, so let's just try it one more time. I'm not getting any errors here. Let's have a look in here. We should get now undefined. Yeah, that's disappeared. Right, so that's working now. We can now reset the password. So I'll just do a quick test. Let's see. Reset password. Let me reset it to password 1. Password and then 1, and then this is going to be password 1. Okay, submit. Okay, now when I log in, it should be password 1. So, what is it? I think it's Seb actually. Seb. And it should be password 1. Perfect, it's working. Right, so we've now done the password reset route. Everything's working, as you can see. So I hope that was helpful, useful. Don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment. All of this helps the channel, and in the words of one of my favourite characters from one of my favourite films, help me, help you. Help me, help you. That's from Rod Tidwell in Jerry Maguire. So, see you soon in the next video.